All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Daily Rates Live. As we do every day, we will explore some of our live rate options. We are a licensed lender and mortgage broker in over 20 states with over 200 loan officers. So if you'd like a full breakdown, full loan estimate on any of our loan programs, please get with one of our team members. They'd be happy to help you out. You can also just visit our website and you'll be connected instantly. So we'll check out the general market today here in a moment, and then we will go into a deep dive into our topic for today, which is going to be our small commercial 5 to 9 unit loans that we're still able to treat as standard DSCR. So typically a 5+ unit property would be considered a commercial property and not a standard residential property. But now with our new loan programs, specifically our DSCR, one of our favorite programs, we can offer that as more of a standard loan, which you'll see here allows us to offer much better rates and terms. So let's get into the rates for today. As we do every day, we typically want to check out the 10-year Treasury yield. That's going to track overall. Let's pull up the last 5 days. That's going to track the rates overall, especially when we're talking about comparing different loan programs, which is what this show is all about. So if you look here, everything's been trending downward recently, but we always want to pull up the overall here, and definitely had a lot of downward momentum here recently and a little bit of up, but overall we're still at basically 1-year lows, so great time to be out there shopping. So we always want to put that into perspective. Now let's get into our actual live rates. So here are our live rates for this morning. We always compare a standard setup, so we can compare across all the programs. A single family home, $500,000 purchase price, $300,000 loan amount. That's a low 60% LTV, 760 estimated FICO score, and 40% debt to income ratio. That way we can compare all these programs side by side, apples to apples. So first up, our conventional option for a primary home. This is what you think of when you think of a mortgage, typically. A standard 30-year fixed. Rates come in today as low as 5.875. APR there, 6.111. And our FHA options allow more leniency on credit issues and higher overall debt to income ratio. So if our customer has any trouble qualifying conventional, we typically want to look at FHA. It does require upfront and yearly mortgage insurance. So the rates are very low here, 5.125 rate. But you always want to consider the APR, 6.033, when you factor in the extra costs and mortgage insurance, etc. And our VA programs for eligible vets and active service members. These programs are amazing. 5.25 lowest rate option today. Final APR 5.512. So notice when you compare that to FHA, even though it looks like a slightly higher rate, the APR is much, much lower. So those VA programs are typically the best option for our eligible borrowers. USDA for the properties in USDA eligible areas. That's the rural areas of the country, coming in today at 5% rate. Final APR there, 5.698. So if we're comparing that to FHA or conventional for our typical customer that's shopping there in those rural areas, definitely consider USDA if the property and the income are eligible. And now where we love to shine here at the Mortgage Calculator are non-QM options. So these are options that are beyond the standard agency and government options. So these allow us to use alternative docs such as bank statements, 1099s, P&L statements, etc. Typically helps for our self-employed borrowers. So to use alternative docs, we can do a primary home, same rate as conventional, 5.875. Final APR comes in at 6.145, just a touch higher than conventional, which is pretty typical. We expect a little bit of higher cost on the non-QM options. And we can also use our non-QM doc options for investment properties. Rates coming in at 6%. Final APR 6.321. Not much change there since last week. And conventional for an investment property, coming in lowest rate option, 6% as well. Final APR 6.311, so just a touch lower. And some of our favorite options, as I mentioned before, our DSCR option. This is for a standard single-family home that we do here on the live demo. We'll go over our more in-depth option for a 5 to 9 unit in a second. So for a standard single-family home, 1 unit, DSCR, no income or employment needed. We simply use estimated rents to determine a DSCR ratio. The rents can cover the expenses, aka the property cash flows. That's a ratio of 1 or higher, which is what we use for these options here. And we set a standard 3-year prepayment penalty on this. Rates come in at 5.999. Final APR 6.222. And we can add a 5-year prepayment penalty to lower the rates even more. can get a rate as low as 5.875. Final APR there, 6.181. And now let's get into today's topic. We are going to build off the DSCR. So instead of just looking at a standard 1 to 4 unit, typically those rates would be eligible for a standard 1 to 4 unit standard residential property. Let's look at what would be considered or would have been considered in the past a commercial only property. So I have an example here. As we do every day, we want to look at an actual live example. So this property is a property listed for sale here in my area. It's a multi-family property, but you have to look deep in notes here. Notice it says it's a legal 5-unit building operated as a 6-unit. Obviously, that's a whole separate set of issues if we're doing a non-conforming loan, but let's consider that we're just going to refinance it as a legal 5-unit property. Excuse me. So a 5-unit property is typically considered a commercial property. Anything over 4 units is not a standard residential property. So typically this would only be considered for your standard commercial financing, higher rates, lower LTVs, a little bit more restrictions, a lot of different hurdles you have to jump through when you go through commercial. Now we can offer this option with a standard DSCR. So first up here, scroll back up to the top, our standard DSCR program. This is our 5 to 9 unit program. So for very small, what would have been considered a commercial property, 5 to 9 units residential, we can still do that as a standard DSCR. So this is an exact example for our 5-unit property. And we can go up to 25% down, 75% LTV. And this includes a 5-year prepayment penalty, which again, prepayment penalties are pretty standard. And especially when we're doing this large loan, we want to make sure we have the best rates and pricing. Now we can do up to 70% LTV for cash out refinances. So I will show that here in a second. But for our standard purchase, we can go rates as low as 7.625, has a cost of 1.975 in discount points and cost. And this is a simple DSCR loan. So of course we need to consider our insurance and taxes, but as long as the property can cover the payment and insurance and taxes, that is a DSCR ratio over 1, which is what we use for this option here. And we can do 25% down, a pretty clean and easy loan when you're talking about comparing it to a commercial property. A couple other things to consider here. We use that 760 FICO credit score, and we did put that 5-year prepayment penalty on there. But you see everything here is set up exactly as we were talking about. Now, if we want to do a rate and term refinance, so that same property, if the property doesn't sell perhaps and the owner needs to do a rate and term refinance, we can do that up to 75% LTV, so the same LTV as the purchase. And this example, we added that 5-year prepayment penalty. And not surprising here, pretty much the same rate, 7.625 lowest rate, costing 1.975 discount points and costs. And we can go up to that 75% LTV of that value. So same scenario there, 5-year prepay, 760 credit score. Pretty simple DSCR option here for rate and term. Now, the other cool option here is cash out. So a lot of our commercial options are very restrictive on the cash out. So this DSCR option, pretty simple and straightforward. We can do up to 70% LTV cash out for 5 to 9 unit properties here under the standard DSCR program. So again here, rates as low as 7.625, costs a little bit less there, 1.725 discount points and costs. And that's because our loan amount is a little bit lower here. But again, a very straightforward DSCR loan. It's not a commercial loan, and definitely something that we love to do here for our customers. Is a little bit outside the box. Not every lender offers it. These programs are amazing. So let me pull back up my slide here. So I don't think I see any questions here, but again, if you'd like a full breakdown, a full itemized loan estimate for your exact scenario, please get with our team members. We can offer the 5 to 9 unit DSCR as well as any of our standard loan program options. And you can also go to our live rates page there that I was just viewing and see our live rates anytime for all of our standard options. There's dozens of other options beyond what we just look at every day. So it looks like we'll wrap it up. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode of Daily Rates Live and doing a deep dive on a different topic. So we'll see you soon.